thought I'd come out and film in a different location for a change, you know, make an effort. I've got a dog barking, a tractor's just fired up, I'm surrounded by blossom, and I've got hay fever and not taking any medication. Yeah, I mean, why do I fucking bother? Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. Today I'm going to be taking you through my top 5 fragrances for spring 2022, and you're not only going to get my opinion, you're going to get the opinion of the lovely Sophie from the channel Soki London. So let's get into this. First on the list is a fragrance from a relatively new fragrance house called Belle Senteur. They're London based and they've got a really nice collection of fragrances. They sent me some samples a couple of months ago. I've done a video on them previously, I'll link that down in the description below. Of the ones that I tried, this is probably by far the easiest to recommend. It's called Alpha Chypre, formerly known as Alpha Black. It's a very signature scent worthy fragrance. It's just super easy to wear. Dare I say it, it's Aventus-like. I wouldn't say it's an Aventus clone, but it certainly has some similarities. I actually asked the creator about it and she said she really liked the bergamot in Aventus, so that's kind of what she really kind of went with. And you can tell in this fragrance it's got the bergamot is definitely really amped. I don't get any pineapple, but it does have that sort of similar manly, woody, ambergris style dry down that's just super versatile, super easy to wear. It's probably one of those fragrances like Aventus that men might like more than women, but I mean it's hard to dislike. But let's see what Sophie thinks.
So this is one I haven't heard of, Alpha Black. Now that's really reminding me of something from the past. Oh, I don't know what it is though. It reminds me a little bit of Creed Aventus. That sort of aluminiuminess, sort of metal mineraliness. It's very fresh. It's okay, it's everyday. It's not super heavy. I feel like that's a very classic, I don't know, maybe it was something that my dad or male relative used to have like in the 90s or something. That's what it's really reminding me of. Not sure, but it's nice, but I don't love it.
At number 4 on the list is a fragrance that didn't get much love from the community. I don't think it got much hate per se, but I just think a lot of people were left a little bit underwhelmed or a bit disappointed because it didn't meet their expectations. But for me, I think this is an absolute banger. I'm talking about Dolce & Gabbana's The Intense version. Now the One line is a fragrance line that I've got a bit of a funny relationship with. I owned the EDP version for quite a long time and it's a really good fragrance that I'd highly recommend. But for whatever reason, I never really fell in love with it. I enjoyed it, I could appreciate it, my wife really liked it, but I just didn't reach for it that often because I just didn't get that excited by it. I just didn't love it like other people did. So eventually I gave up, sort of forcing myself to try and love it, and accepted it was just going to be a like for me, and I sold it. Now, when I saw the notes listed for the EDP Intense version, I got really excited. I thought this could be going in a slightly different direction that's more up my street. Now, the notes that caught my eye were neroli, though it's not that strong in this fragrance, so don't panic. It just adds a little bit of a sort of fresh floral kind of vibe to it. There's a cardamom listed as well, and no, it doesn't smell like L'Oeil de l'Homme before you ask. There's cashmereum, which really adds a lovely kind of smooth touch to this fragrance. It's very, very pleasant. And then there's some benzoin as well, which adds a bit of sweetness. And then in the base, there's some leather comes through, which kind of adds this sort of sexy, manly vibe. So for me, this just works really well and it's right up my street. The opening comes across as a bit fruity, to be honest, like a sweet fruity kind of vibe to me, which is very unisex, I think, in the opening. I'd love to smell the opening on a woman as well. But as it dries down, it gets progressively more manly as you kind of get into the mid with the cashmereum coming through and then that leather coming through in the base. So for me, this is an absolute banger. They've sort of managed to sort of balance that sort of clean, fresh floral kind of thing with the neroli, as I say, though it's not that strong, but with the spiciness from the cardamom, which is not too sort of over the top, and then it's kind of really smooth with that cashmere, and when the leather comes through, it's just this really clean, sexy, manly fragrance that's super versatile. You could just, it's a signature scent fragrance for me. You could just wear this in the office, on a date, whatever. It doesn't project that much, I will say. It wears quite close, but the performance on the longevity side is quite good. Now, as I say, for me, I'm really excited by this fragrance and I'm really curious to see what Sophie thinks, so let's find out.
So this one is the Worn Intense from Dolce & Gabbana. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't hate it, but there's something a bit woody, tobacco-y in here, which is a little bit heady. Yeah, and maybe a bit spicy. And I tend to associate male fragrances that are spicy with like Old Spice and more old-fashioned scents. It's not my type of thing. But definitely feels like evening to me, quite grown up, quite sophisticated, but not sort of easy wearing. I think you'd have to be in the right occasion to wear that, probably sort of date night, night out, but it's not one that I would personally want my other half to be wearing because I don't like spicy scents.
Next is a fragrance that I did a video on a while ago exclaiming how I was so pleased to actually find a fragrance to add to my collection. I've been buying some fragrances and selling them quite quickly because whatever I bought just didn't add anything to my collection and they didn't just bring anything new until I found this. I'm talking about Boss of the Scent Absolute. Now the thing that this brings to my collection that I didn't have previously is the note of Meninka. Now I discovered I'd never smelt it before, but I really enjoy it. It's kind of, Meninka is this very sort of pleasant, fresh, sweet fruit that I've not got in any other fragrances. So for me, this was an actual great find and I really enjoy it. It's just very easy to wear, very likable, and it's just works so well in the spring where it's kind of fresh, clean. That Meninka note really brings that into play. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I know Sophie's tried a few of the scent fragrances, so let's see what she thinks to this version.
So this one is Boss the Scent Absolute. Now, I quite like Boss the Scent for women. They just released a Le Parfum version, which I really liked for women. Oh, so that's very different again. This one smells kind of quite edible. It kind of reminds me of a restaurant in a way. This is fading quite quickly. I think it's kind of fresh, but it's got a real foodiness to it, like almost a nuttiness, which is unusual for a perfume. But it doesn't, to me, smell that much like a aftershave, like a men's scent. It smells like maybe you've been in somewhere that had a scent and it's come off on your clothes, if that makes sense.
Next on the list is a fragrance that I didn't think I'd like, to be honest. It's Y Le Parfum version from Yves Saint Laurent. Now I've got a funny relationship with the Y line. Y EDT I quite liked, but I ended up selling it after owning it because I kind of got a bit fed up with it. Y EDP I don't dislike per se, but whenever I wear it, it gives me a headache. Y Live I owned and sold quite quickly because it's too similar to Invictus. So I really wasn't expecting much from Y Le Parfum, but they've smashed it out of the park. This is by far the smoothest and the easiest version to wear, in my opinion. Somehow they've got this perfect balance between it being really fresh, yet really kind of, it's got some dark sexiness to it as well. So you could easily wear it during the day and evening on a date. I don't know how they've done it. It's an absolutely great job balancing that freshness and the sort of darker sexiness. It's really enjoyable, very easy to wear, so it's perfect for sort of spring where it can kind of go either way with the sort of temperature. But I mean, that's my opinion. Sophie hasn't tried this version before, so let's see what she thinks.
So first one I'm going to try is from Yves Saint Laurent, and it's their Y Le Parfum. Now I have smelt the eau de toilette version of this. It came in a bottle that actually smashed, and the room smelt of it for ages, and I really did like the smell, so probably will like this one. Yeah, I really like that. It's quite fresh, aromatic, quite green. It feels like a good everyday perfume. Wear to the office, after the gym, that type of thing. It's reminding me a bit of the Prada Luna Rosa, which I really like. That sort of fresh at sea type scent. Yeah, I definitely like that. The only thing I'd say is Le Parfum makes me think it's going to be really strong, whereas that doesn't feel strong. I would have thought that was an eau de toilette. So, like it, but definitely like it. I definitely would recommend that to any of my male friends, and have my boyfriend, who's also called Steve, wear this one.
The number one fragrance on my list is a fragrance that I'm super excited about wearing this season, and it's Molecule 01 plus Iris. Now, for those of you that follow the channel, you might remember that I blind bought Molecule 01 plus Mandarin, which is a really nice fragrance I'd recommend, but I just felt that it was just Mandarin, so I just needed a few other things in there. So I sort of would probably just stick with something like Happy from Clinique. But with that fragrance order, I did get a sample of Molecule 01 plus Iris, and I loved it. So I went and bought a bottle. Now, I just really enjoy this fragrance. If you want a very viable alternative to something like L'Homme from Prada, this is definitely it. And to be honest, I think I actually prefer this to Prada's L'Homme. It's basically Molecule 01 plus Iris, as the name suggests. So you get that sort of manly wood shavings kind of vibes. There's a sort of manly woodiness with Iris. But for me, the combination just works perfectly. The Iris is just sort of really pleasant. It's just a really nice Iris that's just balanced well with that kind of woody, very subtle woodiness that adds kind of a manly edge to it. So for me, this is just a really nice manly Iris fragrance that you could just super versatile. You could wear in the office, on a date, wherever. As you can imagine, it doesn't project that hard, but it does seem to last a long time. It's the sort of fragrance where I just constantly get wafts of it throughout the day. I'm honestly really excited by this one, and I can't wait to wear it this season. So I can't wait to see what Sophie thinks. I hope she really likes it. Let's find out.
And then lastly, have Molecule 01 plus Iris. I remember when these Molecule fragrances came out ages ago, and the whole idea was that they're supposed to be different on your skin and you'll create your own signature scent, but you know, they have ingredients in them, right? They're not just like a special potion and you put it on one person it smells of raspberries, on the other person it smells of wood. You know, it has a smell. A light watery mineraliness. That one seems slightly floral, maybe it has some iris in. Iris is so popular at the moment. All the new female releases seem to have iris in. And there's a bit of a spiciness to it. And I know these are unisex. I feel that this is quite masculine. It's also got a creaminess to it. Kind of like a skin cashmere-y feel to it. But it's not heavy at all. It feels more like daytime to me.
So that's it. Those are my top 5 fragrances that I'm going to be wearing this season. Do comment below with what fragrances you're going to be wearing this spring. I'd love to kind of find out. I love seeing the recommendations that you guys send me. That is really cool, and I act on quite a lot of them actually, which doesn't help my bank balance. So do please keep those comments and recommendations, etc. coming. Obviously, I've got to throw out a massive thanks to Sophie for being involved in this video. I was really excited when she agreed to do it. So thank you, Sophie. I do really appreciate it. It just adds a lovely dynamic to kind of get a man's and a woman's opinion on the same fragrance. So thank you, Sophie. I do really appreciate your contribution to this one. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I do really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that shit. You know the score by now. I say it in every video, as does every other YouTuber. But thanks again for watching. I do really appreciate it. I'll see you for a video soon. Take care. Much love.